Okay, this is Dave from Styrene Replicas with update number 3 for the group build, the Pro Street Gasser group build being sponsored by Dylan at New York State Modeling. Wanted to just give an update on where I am. Been moving along, and it's a lot of balls in the air right now with the car, and it's getting to the point now where it'll start to actually come together. I've selected a color for it, and that I'm actually heading out shortly to pick up the paint, and I think I'm going to like the color. So wanted to just give a quick update here. Got this just mocked up right now. So there is an eraser holding up the hood since the engine is, nothing is attached right now. We've got the engine. Let me see if I can zoom in here a little bit. And maybe not. Nope. In any event, the engine is together. Those are the boots for the wiring, spark plug wiring. Got that done. Going to wire it up, try to do some fuel lines and carb linkages for the two carbs as well. The body is in primer and ready to go. I'm happy with the way it looks at this point. I'm going to do a excuse me, a sanding before I start putting on the finished coat. I'll start with a 3000 grit and just make sure it's nice and smooth. If you recall, in one of the earlier videos, I mentioned that this car had no roll bar, so I've constructed a roll bar for it, and it is not fixed in there right now. It's just sitting in there, but just using evergreen tubing. I think it was a 2.5 millimeter tubing, and got that in. The interior tub right now is all gloss black, but that's because it's going to be all aluminum, and I start with the gloss black and then using all clad 2 colors for it. The chassis is done. Those white things here in the back are actually the replacements for those little tiny shock absorbers that the kit provides. Right now the body has just been, or the chassis has just been painted with flat black just as a primer. Next it will be done with all the underpan is going to be aluminum, and the chassis rails themselves will be steel. Battery boxes back here, and the fuel tank will be some other metal just so that it shows some contrast. So that's all ready to go. Let's see, bits and pieces here. This is the center console, which I dechromed, gloss blacked, and then all clad chrome. After taking out a couple of little spots that, when they kit chrome, it's however it comes out of the mold, that's how they chrome it. The wheels, I haven't decided. I may actually go with the kit chrome on these, but I have don't know that it's going to be seen, but I have drilled out all of the holes in the wheels, both the front and the rear, and that'll be actually going to show some body color through from the backers of those wheels. Other bits and pieces here of the frame, steering wheel, nothing has been, steering column and wheel, nothing done there. Drive shaft has just been primed with white. It's going to be white. The carburetors have been primed with the glossy black, and next I'll do a copper gold color. The fan pulley, I'm going to cut this all apart and affix it with a bracket off the motor to hold the alternator, which is just dangling out in the air the way it is, and I'll attach that to the front of the motor, and then I'm going to use a Wonderloom black rubber band, for lack of a better description, as the actual belt pulley. Just part of the front end here, the steering that has just been gloss blacked. The two seats primed, and as I've shown in another video, everything taken off the back here. Haven't decided what color I'm going to go with the seats. I do know that the dashboard will be flat black on the top and aluminum on the remainder. The actual front panel with the gauges. These are all bits and parts. Actually, this is the dashboard, which has been gloss blacked. I didn't bother with the top because that's going to be flat black when I'm done. Rear and front bumper and this chrome trim piece off the rear on the trunk lid. Those are all set for all clad chrome. Let's see, the oil pan has been done in aluminum, and have painted the oil filter. The rear end, the springs are going to be steel. They are steel now, and then the rear end housing will be done in a different, it'll be a metal color, but it'll be a different, not the steel color. And finally, I've got the two headers all done and stripped, and all the mold lines and seams taken out, and they also have been primed with gloss black, ready for the all clad chrome. So that's where I stand with it right now, and I suspect that the next update will show hopefully a rolling chassis by then, maybe color on the body. I guess one last thing is, and again, I don't know how well these are going to show up, but these are the shocks that are springs rather, that they give you in the and I wish I could make this zoom in, but for some reason I can't. This is the coil spring that they give you in the kit, which I think, first off, they take forever to get rid of the seam line that is in between every one of these coils, and that's a pain. So what I've done is I just created my own springs. Actually, these were for the front, and as it turns out, I think they're going to be a little bit too big, so I'll redo those a little smaller, especially since these are the rear springs, and they came out smaller than the front. If I could get the other one here. So they're ready to go in place of that guy, which I just, like I say, I just don't like those coil springs that they give you in the kits, and I'm not going to mess around with the rear and build a shock absorber, since the you really aren't going to see it by the time you're down underneath in black, and you're down to where the coils actually are going to go over these posts and up against the bottom of the spring brackets. You're not going to see anything in there unless you went in there with a magnifying glass and If you do, you're going to see that there's not a shock absorber. However, the shock that actually came in the kit was actually smaller than the posts that you see that I've put in. The shocks were smaller than that. I guess you probably better see them here where they stick into the body cavity. I'll push those down to where I need them when I actually assemble the rear end and the springs. But the shocks were just ridiculously tiny, and like I say, they're down in here underneath the rear end housing. You're never going to see it, so it's just going to be the post in the center of the coil spring. So that's update number 3, and as I say, hopefully we'll have more progress before the next update. Today is Sunday, April 14th, so I've got just a couple days over a month to get it done, and don't see any problem in having that happen. So until the next update, this is Dave at Styrene Replicas saying take care, and once again, thank you to Dylan for sponsoring this.